This portion of the news brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Continuing with the Bahamas tonight, legislators giving their stamp of approval for government to borrow more than $16 million to assist with the transformation of the College of the Bahamas.
Well, before the resolution was passed last evening, the nation's chief talked about the master plan for the institution, and he also responded to opposition critics. LaDon Davis has more.
Christie says the request for a $16.1 million loan is all a part of a $30 million expansion of the College of the Bahamas soon-to-be university. He says a master plan is now being prepared that will transform the entire college campus.
It's a beautifully rendered master plan, and it even encompasses athletic facilities in the sports center. It brings in water features, and it creates a wow impact when you're going through a new entrance that will be created. A wonderful plan for those students who will be going to the College of the Bahamas. And yes, Mr. Speaker, it costs some money to do that.
Mr. Christie also addressed the issue raised by the opposition about the lack of transparency displayed by the government when it comes to borrowing a substantial amount of money. Mr. Christie further shed some light on the financial plan outlined in the proposed agreement.
But when you borrow money from agencies like the Caribbean Development Bank, there is a requirement for the bank to put it on its website when the loan is finished. There is no secrecy. There's transparency. The bank, by terms of reference, necessarily must do those things. And it has $1.8 million. That's what's going to happen to the land. It then has for building and civil works $4.8 million. In a column, it has $3 million, Mr. Speaker, because one of the buildings will be the Franklin Wilson Business School.
The Prime Minister also revealed details surrounding the college's endowment fund.
The College of the Bahamas has found it necessary to be a government-sponsored academic institution. And whereas the big universities that have their endowments and their alumni that contribute to it, I have no doubt that one day the culture of our country will be that.
After not breaking for the summer, the House now suspends for a 6-week recess, returning on November 19th. LaDon Davis, ZNS Network News.
Well, when Parliament resumes next month, a suite of bills included in the new Petroleum Act is expected to be tabled. Environment Minister Kendra Dorset made the announcement during a press conference this morning, noting that any action taken will be environmentally sound as there have been mixed views on oil drilling in the Bahamas. Janelle Ferguson reports that wide public consultation will take place before government moves forward.
The government of the Bahamas has recently completed the new Petroleum Act that will govern practices for oil exploration in the Bahamas. According to Minister of the Environment Ken Dorset, it's a crucial part of the national energy policy recently released, and it will also make provisions for a sovereign wealth fund.
It goes without saying that if oil is discovered in commercially viable quantities in the Bahamas, it will have a massively transformative effect on our fortunes as a people. It will allow us to deliver on our commitment to eliminate the fiscal deficit, while at the same time providing a platform for the systematic reduction in the cost of electricity.
Now, there are only 2 companies, including the Bahamas Petroleum Company, that have been considered by the government for oil exploration in the country.
Only one has a license and is in renewal. The other is an application. And there is another application that was submitted to us, and that is in relation to terrestrial-based exploration, which the current legislative regime does not give us the ability to advance. And so when it comes to onshore exploration, that is something that this new suite of legislation will address.
Minister Dorset, however, assured that the legislative regime certifies that any oil exploration is environmentally sound.
The petroleum regs have been enhanced, and we will also be introducing a new petroleum environmental protection and pollution control regulations, and we will also be advancing health and safety regulations.
Janae Noel Ferguson, ZNS Network News.
Yamacraw Member of Parliament Melanie Griffin says she supports investment in education. She noted the findings of a recent household survey which suggests that a lack of education contributed to poverty.
The incidence of poverty is almost 25% for the households where the head has no formal education, and 12.3% for households with a head with primary education. On the contrary, the survey goes on to say, the incidence of poverty among households where the head has at least some college education is lower than 1%.
While contributing to the resolution to borrow monies for COB, Seabreeze MP Hope Strachan talked about women's rights and the important role they play in society.
Women are worthy of equality, Mr. Speaker. Women have played and continue to play their role in this country. They head the majority of households, especially, Mr. Speaker, single-parent homes. They are educated and they vote, Mr. Speaker. They vote and they make up the majority of the voting populace. They vote and they have voted for the males, Mr. Speaker, in this place, who are now looking for a reason to deny them equality under the law.
In other news, the air conditioning system at the Ministry of Education on Thompson Boulevard is up and running, allowing its staff to return to work. Now, some employees did not spend the entire day, and Director of Education Lionel Sands telling ZNS News that those employees who were not feeling well were sent home about 1 o'clock today as the entire building was not fully cooled. Convicted murderer Gibson Raphael will spend the next 41 years behind bars for the brutal murder of his girlfriend, 22-year-old Kidley Singh Brave, 2 years ago. That sentence handed down today by Justice Indra Charles. According to court evidence, the 29-year-old almost beheaded the deceased with an electric saw and then stabbed her 15 times in the chest with a screwdriver to make sure she was dead following a heated argument. In sentencing, the Haitian national, Justice Charles described the murder as cold-blooded and heartless. She also cited the upsurge in violence against women and stressed that a strong message must be sent that it will not be tolerated. She then sentenced Raphael to 45 years in prison and ordered him to get counseling for anger management. Still from the courts, 27-year-old Haitian national Lucasen Lafrance couldn't hold back his tears today after a jury acquitted him of 3 counts of unlawful sex with an underage female. The all-female jury retired at 1:30 this afternoon and returned almost 2 hours later with a majority verdict. On all counts, they apparently believed Lafrance when he testified that the 11-year-old girl was being used as a pawn by her parents, who had a grudge against him and were jealous of his family's possessions. Justice Bernard Turner presided over the case.
This portion of the news was brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.